large people to appeal. The Tory final solution, perhaps? The work capability assessment needs abolishing or radically overhauling, to be fair. Couple this with the new assessments for disability benefit, and I have a radical solution. Let's fund our GP practices. GPs know their patients' capabilities. Let's put our trust in GPs who have a detailed knowledge of a patient's medical history, not a faceless corporate profit-making giant like Atos or Capita. For disabled people, the sheer terror of the letters summoning them to assessment centres, many of whom are not even accessible for disabled people, is a cause for huge stress and worry. Fund our GPs, not these private companies, and disability assessments and fitness for work can be carried out with dignity and assurance that every effort has been made to come to a correct, knowledgeable decision. Remember, as a civilised society, a just country and government protect its most vulnerable. That's the bottom line we should be campaigning for. This leads me on to another key issue to campaign for in a quest for a just welfare system. A financial recognition for carers, with a GP assessing both a disabled person but also assessing carers and carers' needs, like respite breaks, etc., looked at in conjunction with social services. A holistic approach and one lauded by Andy Burnham. As I said previously, Cameron acknowledges the massive amount of money carers save his government every year, but what does he do about it? Nothing. £61 a week is an affront to the damned hard work carried out by carers 24/7, 365 days a year, with no let-up and little local authority support due to the savage cuts inflicted by the condemned. Talk about the minimum wage. Carers will no doubt love to receive the minimum wage for the hours they do. What does £61 per week provide? Next to nothing. In fact, it pays for 1.5 breakfasts Ian Duncan Smith enjoys in London at £39 a throw. The right, as ever, will say the country can't afford to care for its carers. Wrong. We need to invest and value carers, perhaps by forcing the likes of Vodafone, Amazon, Starbucks and Gary Barlow to pay tax. I'm sure that would help to fund our carers considerably. Again, the right can be appeased by putting in the safeguard of a GP and social services assessment so there can be no gaming of the system. The GP will assess and know the care requirements of the disabled person and so can advise on the type of care needed. Social services can provide a support system for the carer with respite breaks and mental support. Many carers are young carers under 16. They juggle school with caring, huge burdens to place on our young. Young carers under 16 don't even qualify to claim the £61 per week carers allowance. Let's campaign to change that initially. We should start to seek a flat rate carers allowance to £100 a week for those caring full time as a recognition of the work they do, then campaign to raise this annually. A carer is a carer whether they are 14 or 70. Let's recognise that too. With the inbuilt safeguard of a GP and social services assessment, we owe these unsung heroes a huge debt. Let's start singing out for them. We need the abolition of workfare for the unemployed and the removal of the sanctions regime. It is in every way the total opposite vision of what Beveridge and Attlee had in mind to achieve full employment. Ian Duncan Smith, out to seek revenge on a party that threw him out as a leader, a party who sees him as a bit dim, has enacted a savage retribution on the unemployed. No more has the job centre become a place to seek advice and help back into work or to seek that first job. I'm going back to that word again, punishment. The whole DWP department is about punishment. Punishment for being unemployed, punishment for being ill, punishment for daring to claim the mighty sum of £71 a week or £53 a week if you are young. The UK has one of the lowest rates of unemployment benefit in Europe. Workfare is an abomination on all fronts. Paraded by the Tories as work experience, companies have leapt in to sign up with both feet, eager to exploit a huge untapped source of free labour. 30+ hour a week of soulless shelf stacking when you are a university graduate maybe, in order to get your £71 a week, ain't going to get you a shelf stacking job at the end of your work experience anyway. As your workfare stint ends, you are replaced with another readily available unemployed person while you revolve back to the job centre on the Ian Duncan Smith's carousel. If employers want the unemployed to do work experience to gain more knowledge and expertise, then pay the going rate for a probationary period of no more than 12 weeks. But the caveat is, there must be an offer of a job on the table at the end of the probationary time, as it was back in the 70s and 80s, should the potential employee match up to the job. No more workfare, no more free labour, no more exploitation. The sanctions regime is nothing but a DWP excuse to massage unemployment figures and refuse to pay out benefit. The regime has led to a huge boom in food bank use, as unemployed people often find out they've been sanctioned when their benefit money is not in their bank account and they are left destitute. Where I live in North Wales, the nearest job centre is 5 miles away in the next town. One of my son's friends was sanctioned for being 5 minutes late for his appointment as the train was not on time. Public transport, like buses, is priced out of the reach of the unemployed, and even the trains are very costly for short journeys. People in rural and coastal areas are being doubly punished. Whistleblowers who have left the job centres frequently cite stressful working conditions for staff, who know by sanctioning clients, some very vulnerable with mental health problems, they are leaving them destitute and at the mercy of loan sharks, payday loan companies, or begging for help at food banks. Have you noticed the security staff employed by the DWP at job centres? Security staff. It beggars belief. When my son was seasonally unemployed a few winters ago, he was passing the job centre one afternoon and he wanted to pop in to look for work. One of the security guards asked him if he had an appointment. When he replied no, he was refused entry. Really? Job centres that bar you coming in and looking for work. Welcome to Ian Duncan Smith's world. Whilst receiving social security benefit in times of hardship or illness, we need to campaign for a fair, livable, basic level of benefit when social security is needed. I call for a basic citizen's income. A citizen's income is an unconditional, automatic and non-withdrawable payment to each individual as a right of citizenship. The citizen's income attack on poverty is three-pronged. Such a scheme would end the poverty and unemployment traps, hence boosting paid employment, provide a safety net from which no citizen would be excluded, create a platform on which all citizens are free to build. A citizen's income scheme would encourage individual freedom and responsibility and help to bring about social cohesion. Everybody is entitled to a citizen's income and everybody pays tax on all other income. It would also end the perverse incentives that discourage work and savings. A citizen's income would be simple and efficient and would be affordable within current revenue and expenditure constraints. It would be easy to understand. It would be a universal entitlement based on citizenship that is non-contributory, non-means tested and non-taxable. It would be cheap to administer and to automate. As I said, under the coalition, we have one of the lowest rates of social security in Europe. Unemployment benefit, child benefit, tax credits and all other types of benefit have been cut in real terms by this government in the most oppressive banker-led recession Britain has ever seen. The poor have been made to suffer, and what's more, they now have brothers in arms. A new type of poor, never before seen in Britain until the Tories gained power in 2010. The working poor. A new army of people fighting to survive austerity. We working class certainly are all in this together. Recent mutterings from the DWP indicate a much tougher stance on parents claiming working tax credits under the multi-billion-pound flop that is Duncan Smith's raison d'etre, universal credit. Already, to claim working tax credits, hours for couples have had to rise from 16 to 24 hours a week at a time of unemployment, austerity and 0 hours contracts. For the self-employed, Dear Ian has devised a minimum income floor, whereby self-employed people have to earn a minimum of £11,000 a year, or he will force you off the working tax credit part of universal credit, and you'll be put on job seekers allowance and forced to seek employment. For those self-employed getting £11,000 per year, there will be a new monthly reporting session carried out at the local job centre, where you will present your accounts for scrutiny in order to claim universal credit and be urged to look for more work to boost your earnings. Punishment extended for those in work this time. This new form of GWP torture impacts heavily on women in particular, as many self-employed women are Avon, Clean Easy or Better Wear sales reps. Once upon a time, I've done that job myself. They've earned the odd 20 or 30 quid a month as pin money. Now by law you have to be registered with the HMRC. You earn commission on sales once every campaign, which covers a 3-week period. If you manage to sell £500 worth of products, which is fairly difficult in this climate, you'll earn £80 in commission, and that's your take-home pay for the month. There is no way over 95% of these women will get anywhere near the minimum income floor of £11,000 a year. Likewise, crafters, sculptors, actors, writers, our creative self-employed will be written off and forced to claim job seekers allowance and their self-employment stopped. Until a universal living wage is adopted, the working poor have to be supported by tax credits. End of. A fair, livable, basic income and benefit acts as a safety net to stop the more costly scandal of destitution. As civilised society recognises this, we must campaign for it. This leads me neatly on to a social security system that is sympathetic to women. Most carers are women, whether to babies, older children, and disabled or elderly relatives. Women have been left to bear the brunt of austerity during the last 4 years of this government. Take a look at the front bench in Parliament. There are 3 women in Cabinet. 3. That's what the condemns think about women. With child benefit tax credits being cut in real terms, food costs soaring, older teenagers struggling to afford university tuition fees, children unable to leave home due to housing costs, elderly relatives needing more care, it's been Mum who is bearing the burden, sandwiching her time between work, family and caring roles. Women's public sector jobs have been slashed. For every 100 jobs created in the private sector, 63 go to men. Gordon Brown must weep when he sees the closing down of the innovative and helpful Sure Start centres that were created to change the lives of young parents, mostly women, and their children. Sheer, willful vandalism, and the Lib Dems allowed the Tories to do it. Domestic abuse help and refuges are being cut and closed down simultaneously. The bedroom tax has had a terrible effect on single-parent women who are being forced to move continuously between tenancies. From childcare to social care, from public sector to private sector, women have never had it so bad. The Labour Party are putting policies together that need to go further in their efforts to provide a just welfare system for women. We desperately need a social security system that understands, reflects and acts in women's favours, particularly when giving up work to have children or to take on a caring role. A recent interview in The Independent said that women are frightened to take full maternity leave in case they are punished by employers on their return. Legal aid has been severed entirely for employment tribunals, so it will cost a woman £1,200 to take an employer to court when things go wrong. Even Cameron's own lawyer brother went on strike against this. When a woman has to give up work to care for a child or relative, she is financially, viciously punished for doing so. We need to campaign for a whole new look, a rethink and a restructure of a social security system that seeks to work for women, not against them. We need to mobilise in our communities and take on the politicians causing our pain. An NHS free at the point of delivery, and an end to private